Hello, everyone. Welcome to Soulprism Podcast, where we share bite-sized nuggets of wisdom for your body, mind, and soul to serve you, the emerging soulpreneur. My name is Tammy Mack, and I'm really excited to be talking to Carla-Jayne. Carla-Jayne is the Practical Magic Coach, a tarot-slinging business which helping intuitive women ditch the fear, own their power, and build businesses that feel like magic and make money. She blends real word strategy with unapologetic witch energy. And she is a 6'2" generator and the left angle cross of revolution. So her life is about sharing her intuitive wisdom and knowledge and witchy woo with the rest of us. So I am excited about this conversation. Welcome, Carla.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
So tell me, I am so curious. I studied the tarot like 10 years ago now. I really, really love the tarot. But how do you incorporate the tarot and your witchy woo with working with business owners?
Sure. So this started out as not with business at all. It took me a minute to integrate it because I started doing this when I was a teenager. So I was very much into the craft and practical magic and all of those. So they very much inspired me, those movies. And I started doing it, but I feel like back then I hadn't got the life experience to really trust my readings and trust my own intuition. And then I left everything, all of my witchiness behind in 2009 when my father passed away, because I was like, if I couldn't help him, then what was the point? So, and then it took me a full decade to come back to it. And when I did, I came back to it, very much kicked the broom closet door open and just said, I'm back, bitches. So it's very loud and proud and out there. So I started just doing like general readings rather than business stuff. But the more I got into coaching as well, and then using tarot within my coaching, I realized that there was a bridge there. There was something that I could help people. So because tarot isn't inherently mystical, it is a psychology tool. And I love me some psychology. So I was like, right, okay, this is a great bridge and to be able to use it. And so I found that people will listen way more to their own energy. So they'll listen to their higher self. So I connect when I do tarot readings, I connect with others' higher selves and my own intuition. So it's the collective unconscious, and they will listen more to themselves than they will listen to somebody else, somebody external, even though there is a lot of people out there, and still myself as well. We require external validation just because it helps us to feel safe. So if we're doing things on our own, it can feel very scary, and also it can feel very like, if I'm out of the tribe, I'm going to get eaten by the T-Rex. I mean, what a way to go, but still it's like you have to calm the nervous system in certain ways. And so when I work with people, particularly with business, and in particular through that with visibility, it is about looking at where their visibility wounds lie. And the majority of the time, because I work mostly with women and enlightened men, it is around the witch wound. It is around charging for your services and doing things that some people will still say, well, that's a spiritual service, you shouldn't charge for that. And then I'm like, do I not need to eat? So it's like, we're not in the village anymore where the village witch would have tithes sent to them and they were looked after. Like, there was still an energy exchange regardless. So this is where I help people to get through and to work through those types of thoughts, and being supported by the tarot as well.
I love that so much. I love the tarot is a divination tool, right? So sometimes it's really helpful to have a tool that helps give us language for the things that, you know, we might feel or we might know, but we don't have the language for. And so the tarot is a great way to connect to yourself, to your clients, to your higher self, to the ancestors, to, you know, the quantum field, and to give you language, to give you images, to give you understandings when there's static, or when there's resonance, or when you just can't seem to get words into it. It's a beautiful tool to be able to articulate your knowledge and wisdom, especially when you've done the work of understanding the tarot, because the tarot is a system, right? I'm a projector. I love systems. Tarot was one of the first systems that I had to master, because there was so much logic to it. When you put, you know, certain cards together, they start to tell a different message, a different frequency than other cards. And so understanding the language, the stories, the messages through them, and then also the intuitive awareness that comes through you using the tarot. I also love that you brought up the witch wound. I love that you brought up the witch wound, and the fact that, because I'm going to be straight up honest, this is something that I have been working through myself. I have done so much money work in the past, but the one thing that has been stopping me for the last 6 months is spiritual people shouldn't be charging for their gifts. This is something that I myself have been working through. You and I talked about the witch wound earlier, where some people resonate as being a witch back in the day. I was a Puritan casting the stones, because I was terrified that if I wasn't pointing a finger, somebody was going to point a finger at me. And so I'm so excited to hear more about how it is that you help people bridge you know, being spiritual, and this is a gift from God, or whatever you believe, and spiritual people shouldn't, you know, covet money, to creating a sustainable business.
Yes. And as one of my friends and previous mentor has said, spiritual people can wear Prada. It's absolutely okay for you to make money with your gifts. It is a very antiquated and old belief around basically around not charging for your gifts. And yes, there is always going to be people who judge you for that. They're not your people, and that's okay. Like, we're not meant to be liked by every single person on this earth. And I think coming from somebody who is a 6'2", like, I do feel the need to be loved and to be liked, but I'm also very aware of the realities, and the realistic viewpoint that I need to have is that I won't be liked by absolutely everybody, and that is okay. And this is where, like, just giving people that really practical clarity around their business, around what they do. Because the other thing that I have noticed, particularly with spiritual gurus, that they do talk at such a higher level that the average Joe can't, the concept can't, like, be grasped. And so when it can't be grasped, this is where they go, well, it's crap then, so I don't believe in it, or it's, you know, it's not for me. And this is part of what I do, is to break it down so the concept is grasped, and that they can decide if it's something they want to take on. Because particularly, pretty much all of my clients are at some version of neurodivergence. So they are yeah, they need things broken down a little bit more. And funnily enough, that is part of my wheelhouse from a few years back, before I went traveling, that I used to teach, and I would teach what I lovingly called feral teenagers, because they were. I loved all of them. They were amazing, but they were also really wild. So and it's about like breaking things down to a level that is manageable, and that doesn't go away just because you hit over in your 20s or 30s or 40s. It doesn't go away. Sometimes you do still need things broken down, and that's okay. And that's where I've been told this is one of the things I make it accessible, because accessibility is a big thing, because we do overcomplicate things regardless. So whether or not you've got a spiritual guru that is spouting all of this information that you can't quite understand because you don't get the concept, and then you may ask, I mean, I know we spoke a little bit earlier about AI, and AI is good in certain aspects because it can explain things to you in a really accessible way. But sometimes you just need to hear it more than once, and probably from other people, before it clicks. And I found that I am the one that people come to when they're like, I don't get it still, please tell me. And there we go. And then they do get it after hanging around with me for a bit.
You know, I really enjoy what you're saying. First of all, like, you literally spit out your entire incarnation cross, which was so beautiful. I am guilty of one of those spiritual teachers that goes off on a tangent, because that's the level that I'm channeling at. And most people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm dyslexic. And so I really do appreciate the chunking. In fact, that's how I use AI now, is like, say you get a workbook or you get something with, a talk or whatever. And I put the workbook into the AI and I'm be like, please ask me each question individually, because when I see the whole picture, I just get overwhelmed. And so I need a little bit at a time. So I appreciate you being able to teach in that way, and that being a part of who you are. Like, that's ingrained who you are. We talked about your left angle cross of revolution. And interesting enough, when we look at our incarnation crosses in human design, it's actually a square in astrology. So those are the things that we have to really work at to really understand and get the gifts from, which is part of the charm. And I also love the way that you shared your sixth line, right? Like, I was full on in, and then I backed out, right? I went on the went off the roof and into my bubble, and then I came right back out. I'm experiencing that very same thing as well. That really excites me. So I'm going to be honest. I asked Carla-Jayne to do a 3-card spread today. Part of it was because it's my birthday week, and this is going to be airing during my birthday. And I kind of wanted this to be a present for everybody, because she's obviously not just going to be sharing my energy, but the energy of what is going on in the collective at this time. So it's not just going to resonate with me, but it's going to resonate with everybody. And since we were talking about the witch wound and money and whatnot, and Pluto right now is in Aquarius, and it is about sharing, and Mars, actually, when this is going to be airing, Mars is going to be conjunct Pluto and the sun. So this is like, get up and go energy. Yep. And so I'm really excited to be sharing. And thank you, Carla, so much for doing this spread for us today.
Oh, you are so welcome. So we're going to do, as you did, three cards. It might be more. We'll see. It depends how many cards come out. So each of my tarot decks have personalities connected to them. So this is Juanita. She is Spanish, and they all have, I'm clairaudient, so I hear things, but I'm also clairvoyant, so I do see things depending on what's going on and whatever I get coming through. But the way that I read cards is I never just draw. They're jumpers or flippers. So we'll see what happens. So let's see for the first card. So what is happening right now? And then there we go. So we have one. And then what is going on? So we could do like past, present, future sort of type of thing. So what is going on right now? What actions do we need to take? And what guidance do we need for the future? Okay. So I'm a little bit different the way I read my cards as well. So I do read reversals. So we've got 2 reversed. And
my dyslexic energy.
It's all good. It's all good. And I also read whenever they come out, if they come out on the side, then I call them cuspers. So they're ones that come out on the cusp, and it's going to be one of those is maybe we're having this and maybe we're having that. So the first one that we have is the 3 of Wands in reverse. So 3 of Wands in reverse is right now there is plans that are being made or have been made, but we're hesitating. We're taking a minute and we're like, oh, I'm not sure. I don't see the whole path. And that is scary. And so we need to be moving forward. And we're not yet moving forward and we're hesitating. And the threes are imbalanced anyway. So there is a kind of hesitancy to odd numbers. But then we also have Wands. And Wands is passions, is values, is how we move physically through the world. And we're just starting. So there are plans that need to be enacted, but we're hesitating. So we need to think about what are we hesitating around? And so the actions that we're taking comes through with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. So what we're seeing is this is money. Pentacles is all about money. It's about the home and health. So it's health, wealth, and home, basically. And the Queen of Pentacles shows up very much when we need to be in our sovereign state. But because it's reversed, there's part of it that it's connected with the 3 of Wands of giving our power away. So we're giving our power away. We're worried about the safety and security of certain aspects of the plans that are going forward. And so we need to think about okay, how can I make myself feel safe? How can I make myself feel connected and grounded to be able to move forward? And then the guidance for the future, this one came out on the cusp, is judgment. We need to let go of them bullshit stories that we are holding on to so very tight. So there's part of it where, because it's on the cusp, yes, I'm letting go of it, but then there's still stuff that is sticking. And this is where we need to look at the beliefs around self-judgment and around being judged by others, to go, how is this serving me? Is this something that I need to keep going with? Or is this something I can just let go of? To be able to move forward, to create that safety, and then to keep going. Because the Wands is the fire, then we have Pentacles is the earth, and then Judgment, I believe, is an air card. So we've got there is a lot of a lot of stuff here. So it's not necessarily emotions or intuition as with cups, but with these is the actions, the grounding and safety, and then the logic of just letting certain things go.
while you were speaking, what was coming up to me, and perhaps it's because I was literally filming a class about ancestral energy, but that's what it felt like. It wasn't like you said, it's not an emotion as much as it's this stuck belief that's like deep within my bones, right? And you and I were talking about like the witch wound, and where, you know, some witches felt like they were, you know, burnt, and so they closed off their throat so they didn't speak.
Yep.
I was the pilgrim throwing the stones, and I literally, when I've done my journeys, like literally seen myself in that pilgrim energy, and really having these higher values, right? And that's where a lot of those stories come from. And it's not even like, it's not even like something that I believe. It's just as something as like, it's so much deeper within me. And like you were saying, as much as I've been doing all of the work, and I have been doing a ton of work on this,
yep.
Man, it just pulls me back. It just keeps pulling me back, and I have to keep
never bloody
letting go.
Yeah, it's true. It really does. The unfortunate, but also the fortunate, depending on how you look at it. The spiritual work, the up leveling, it never ends. But there's always opportunity to create a new level for yourself. And you can look at it as, oh my God, it never ends, or it never ends. I get to experience new parts of me each time I release something, or each time I take on a new perspective. And I think that's part of why I've had so many reinventions in my own life, because not only do I share a birthday with Madonna, so she's the queen of reinvention. I do feel like I've done that throughout my life, and the latest one was obviously combining witchcraft and tarot and the woo side of things with business and logic, because on paper it doesn't, you think it doesn't gel, but I am very much science first. I will always question mundane over magic. So is it a mundane answer first before I move into magical things? So that's the other thing. It's not just a connection to the film, the practical magic. Like the practical magic coach is because I am practical. I would much rather people use a practical solution first, rather than go straight to the I need to just manifest harder, or I need to do this ritual first. No, you can use it to support you, but ideally you might need to do something scientific with the neuroscience to do that first. So yeah, that's I'll get off my soapbox now.
I love your soapbox. I love your soapbox so much because I am 100% logical. You know, in my chart, who I am, a very, very logical being, and yet very, very energetically in tuned as well. And what I love right now is that we're moving into a time where science is starting to demystify the mystical, right? Science is starting to explain what spiritual teachers have been talking about for eons. Now that the science can start explaining how it works, more people are able to use it, because for a lot of time, most times, we take in the energy, we take in the information first through our heads, and then move it into our body and embody it, right? And so we feel like, I need to know what's going on. I need to know all the steps. I need to know the processes. I need to know how this actually works before I can believe that it actually works and believe that it's true, right? And so this is a path where many, many people start going into, right? And then there's the other path of like, I am 100% fully woo, and wow, now they're starting to logically explain my woo, right? And so I love this beautiful dance of the way that we're moving into the future, where you know, coming out of the woo closet is becoming more regulated, right? There's so many more of us that are starting to share our gifts more and becoming out as I call soulpreneurs, right? People that are serving from their soul, from their passion, from their purpose, and maybe using spiritual tools through the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that is a hill that I will die on is that all magic, like from way back when, was initially it was labeled as magic when it was science, and now science is literally just magic with proven data. And you're right, like now there's more and more studies around energetics in particular, and we are more and more getting into it. I mean, the one of my favorite rabbit holes is epigenetics, is that the carrying of ancestral wounds, but this has come from a very long line. So it might not necessarily be like something that you've inherited through your DNA, but it is something, it is an emotional wound as opposed to a medical wound or condition. But it is something that we are slowly getting to understand more and more, that this affects, like, what happens to you happened to your mother and your grandmother, and so on and so forth. It goes on and on. So it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Big old nerd here, so if you hadn't guessed that already. I'm the same freaking nerd. I remember reading Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief. Like, that's where I first got into epigenetics. And it's so true, right? Like, we look at our genes and say with breast cancer, for instance, it's like, oh, your mom and your grandmother had breast cancer, so you're going to have breast cancer too. And now they're finding, yes, you have the gene, but it's the environment that gene is housed, is loved, right? Whether or not it's going to be expressed. So even though we have this ancestral wisdom, because it is wisdom within us, we get to choose whether or not we activate it, right? So if I hear, oh, my mom and my grandmother all, had breast cancer, I'm going to get it. Well, guess what? And I don't want to diagnose or say, you're going to get it, but yeah, chances are that you are giving energy to that possibility versus, okay, my mom and my grandmother both have breast cancer, but I'm not going to. Or if I do, I know that I'm resilient enough to beat it, right? And so it's not a death warrant anymore. Yeah. And so I love the science that is moving us towards that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love it.
Well, you and I could nerd out all day long, I'm sure. Yes. But we're going to close this off. But I'm curious, do you have a gift or anything for the Soulprism crew so they can come and find you and work with you? Because everybody needs this in their life.
Thank you. So if you are a business owner, I do highly, highly recommend getting the Moon-Led Business download. It is free, of course, and it just shows you how you can connect tarot and the lunar cycles to help support you with your business. So everything around planning and just kind of understanding when we have, because we're not a consistent energy all the way through. It is peaks and troughs. So this can help you to understand, and it helps you to understand it as well from an astrological point of view as well. So depending on which, whatever sign the moon is in, so you can kind of leverage that energy to really help you with your business. So I also have a more like rounded freebie. So it is Moon Magic, and that is also moon phase stuff, but it is more about manifesting as well, and it gives you some lovely rituals. But that is more generic, so not business focused. So I hope that's okay to share both.
Yeah, it's absolutely okay to share both, and we will have them in the show notes so that you can grab them, you can work with them. Personally, I've been working with the moon cycles for years, and really and I'm going to say, if you are neurospicy like me, working with the moon elements is a game changer when it comes to your business. So you're not trying to figure out when to write, when to post, when to speak, when to launch, when to all the things. You intuitively feel into the energies of the elements and allow them to work with you, right? So
Yeah.
I'll put those resources down so everybody can find them, everybody can work with you. That is amazing. Thank you, Carla, so much for being on the Soulprism podcast. Thank you for that 3-card reading. I hope everybody who listens to it can resonate with it, can get the magic and the meaning from it, and can also move on from that tired ass story. So, everyone have a wonderful day. We'll see you again.
Bye.